The first time a client paid me $75 an hour, I was convinced someone in accounts had made a mistake. I did the arithmetic twice. $75 an hour is $150,000 a year, more than enough back then to cover everything I could think to want. And my honest, immediate reaction wasn't pride. It was, surely nobody pays that for me. If you're a clinician, I'd bet you've had your own version of that thought. This week, I want to talk about that reaction, because I meet it in almost every clinician I coach, and it is quietly costing them more than any pay deal will ever return. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know what the market actually says your clinical judgment is worth in 2026. Honest numbers, including the ones that aren't flattering. But this isn't a story about me being modest. It's a pattern, and it's everywhere. Look at England this summer. In late June, resident doctors accepted the government's pay offer, ending 3 years of strikes. The deal averages a 6.6% uplift by April 2027, and yet only around 53% voted to accept it, on a 57% turnout. Nearly half the doctors who voted looked at the biggest offer in years and said no. I don't read that as greed. I read it as thousands of intelligent people sensing something the salary slip never states. The problem was never the percentage. It's the ceiling of the salaried model itself. One number, set by someone you will never meet, moved in increments, capped by a band. You can see the same pressure in nursing. In this year's State of Nursing survey, over a third of nurses reported working extra shifts or overtime because of financial pressure, and 15% had taken a second job. And for many Irish and UK clinicians, the loudest answer on offer is a plane ticket. Irish doctors granted Australian working visas are up 44% since 2018. Therefore, the real question this week is simple. What is your judgment actually worth? And who told you? Let me tell you how I found out. In the late 2000s, I was on a consulting contract, working on clinical documentation for a large U.S. health system. I started at $75 an hour as an hourly employee, and I genuinely could not believe I was worth it. Here's what I actually did on that contract. I worked out ECMO documentation when almost nobody else in the country had. I took a NICU's brutal workflows and made them actually usable for the nurses living inside them. I reconfigured the system so emergency and recovery teams could give just prescribed medicines without a pharmacy delay that, in those settings, was genuinely degrading care. When my time on site ran long enough that my travel and lodging became taxable, the firm grossed up my pay. Then 2008 hit. Contractors were shed by the hundred, and I was one of the last 5 left in the building. By the time I left, my rate was $95 an hour. And here's the part I want you to sit with. None of that work felt remarkable to me. It felt like an ordinary Tuesday. So here's the reframe. The rate was never a reward for being technical. It was the price of clinical judgment nobody else in the building had, and I was the last person to recognize its value. That is the pattern I now see everywhere. The skills that come easiest to you are the ones you price at zero, and they are usually the ones the market values most. Now, you might be expecting me to say, so go get a digital health job title. I'm not going to, because the honest numbers say otherwise. Generic digital health titles average about $98,300, below many clinical salaries. Changing your job title is not a raise. The premium comes from positioning your clinical expertise. Consulting, informatics leadership, advisory work. It is the deliberate pricing of judgment you already own. So, how do you price judgment deliberately? 3 foundations. Foundation 1. Judgment, not title. Aim at the roles that price your expertise, not the ones that rename it. Healthcare consulting roles for clinicians commonly pay $180,000 to $250,000. Clinical informatics, a proven first rung, averages around $103,600 in the US, with a typical band of $85,000 to $120,000, and senior certified roles clearing $130,000. And it isn't only money. 76% of clinical informaticists report high career satisfaction. Foundation 2, Evidence, not instinct. Your instinct about your worth was calibrated by salary bands. Mine was, which is why $75 an hour felt like an accounting error. So calibrate against evidence instead. A 2023 Medscape survey found 26% of physicians considering a non-clinical career path. Foundation 3, design, not desperation. About a quarter of nurses now hold some form of secondary income, but notice how nearly all of it is built out of necessity. More hours of the same work under the same ceiling. The alternative is one expertise-based stream, built deliberately while your salary still pays the bills. Multiple revenue streams begin with a single deliberate one. 5 things you can do this week. 1. Write your rate evidence list. 10 problems from the last year that only your judgment could have solved. Not tasks, problems. 2. Benchmark 3 real roles, say, clinical informatics, a healthcare consulting role, and 1 advisory or fractional position. 3. Choose 1 income stream by design, not 5, and not out of desperation. 1 expertise-based stream built while your salary pays the bills. 4. Have 1 conversation with a clinician already doing the work you benchmarked. 1 honest conversation recalibrates faster than a month of reading. 5. Before any pay conversation, reread your rate evidence list. Never negotiate against yourself again. Zoom out with me. Over a 10 or 20-year career, percentages compound slowly, and they compound on a number someone else set. Position judgment compounds differently. Every problem you solve becomes evidence. Every engagement raises the floor for the next one. That is the better bargain this series is named for. I doubted I was worth $75 an hour, and the market said $95. The gap between those 2 numbers was never about the market. It was about me. Don't wait for a ballot on someone else's percentage to tell you what you already suspect. The ceiling is not the truth about your worth. It is just the view from inside the band. Before you go, tell me in the comments, what is 1 problem from this last year that only your judgment could have solved? I read everyone, and naming it is the first entry on your rate evidence list. When you're ready to talk, rodgamble.com is where to find me.